Sorry about that, y'all. Peace and light. Good morning. Good morning. It is neath night of the Blackest Truth. I have to talk about yesterday's show, Roland Martin and Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson. Y'all, if you saw on my post, I literally was like, I'm about to get kicked out of the library right now. So, as a matter of fact, I don't even want to say Roland Martin and Dr. Umar Johnson. Let me say this. The post yesterday with Dr. Umar Johnson and Roland Martin was phenomenal, y'all. Peace and light to everybody. Good morning to everybody. One, thank you to the goddess Afe, who just posted on her page about the show. So I went on. I'm like, what's going on? I was in the library just handling some business, uploading some photos. And I literally engaged in this 18-minute video in the library. Do you know, I'm so childish. It took me 45 minutes to watch the video because I was like, ooh, like as so many times throughout the interview. One, I would like to say I totally can appreciate how Dr. Umar Johnson came on and validated his credentials and, saying, you can go and look up my database and verify that for yourself. But I just think, for me personally, I was happy to see once and for all on a national screen, Dr. Umar Johnson articulate himself in his degrees, because I'm not going to lie to you. In 2012, like I said in that last live video, in 2012, when I started feeling like there was more to the piece of the puzzle that I didn't comprehend, when I started to learn about racism, white supremacy, one of the very first videos that I watched was from Dr. Umar Johnson. So I know we have a lot of opinions about the king. However, honestly, had I not watched the video, the 11 Principles of White Supremacy, I probably still would be lost. Had I not watched that video breaking down the 11 rules that all Europeans, no matter where they live, exercise, I most likely still would be just baffling. I'd probably be like the other three coons on the other side of Dr. Umar Johnson. I'd probably be articulating their rhetoric had I not seen that video about the 11 principles. But nevertheless, so I was happy to see him say that. And then Roland Martin. So, he talks about the Mandarin and saying that's a lie. However, let's think about if we have any Native African friends. If you have Native African friends, one of the biggest blessings, I guess, having of that relationship, one of the biggest perks of that relationship is you get to learn about how colonialism affected them, how it's the equivalent of slavery, and then you get to learn about the different countries that benefit off the resources. Like, had I not had Kenyan friends, I would not have known a lot of wax comes from Kenya, or rubber. Had I not had Nigerian friends, I would have not known that a lot of oil and cocoa come from there. Sierra Leonean friends. So when you are engaged with actual Native African friends, which is Pan-Africanism, because it's not only an American concept, a Black American concept, when we actually have African friends globally, we learn about how China is raping Nigeria right now, like totally coming in and stealing so many of the resources. So when you hear about Mandarin being an official language, like when we think about how our schools have to look, foreign language has to be something that we accredit in our own schools, and we dictate, like, these are the next 4 global powers that are going to come up. So these are the 4 languages that our children are going to learn. Yes, you will learn native languages like, Swahili and Zulu and different things of that nature. You will learn English. However, if we know that China is on the rise of becoming a global power, then that means that Mandarin has to be an official language in the curriculum to learn, because we have to learn how to be global people, serious people. So I was happy to see that. But then the interracial dating, the topic that nobody really likes to talk about, but Dr. Umar broke it down, right? So he basically says that the biggest responsibility of an African leader, of any or African person who says that they want to do something productive in their community, is to love a Black partner. That is the biggest responsibility, because if not, you totally compromise your mission. You totally compromise your objective. So, one thing that I literally have to learn how to do is I got to learn how to articulate myself like Dr. Johnson. Say what you want about the king, but when I say, it's like he like has bullets in his mouth and like he just is shooting bullets. Because when he articulated, this is how I feel about interracial dating. Can you love anyone? Yes. You can love anyone if you allow yourself the ability to love someone. Just like if you allowed yourself to move to another country, you would be out of your mind to think there aren't people that you could engage with and have friends with and literally become lifelong partners with. It's just totally unrealistic. So you're able to love whoever you want to love, whoever you allow your heart to engage to be loved. However, as Pan-Africanists, and that was one thing I appreciated, Dr. Umar kept hitting on the fact he was a Pan-Africanist. When you are a Pan-Africanist, that means you make a conscious decision to date African people. You know you could date someone Hispanic. You know you could date someone European. You know you can date someone Asian. However, you make the conscious decision to give all of your resources, your love, your affection, your patience, your ability to understand the other's plight. You allow yourself to give that love to someone that looks like you. Someone, in my case, to look like my father. Someone in the black man's case, the ability to look like your mother. So now let's turn to the panel. Dr. Umar broke it down when he was talking about interracial dating and all of those leaders that he also mentioned: Sidney Poitier, James Earl Jones, Tiger Woods. Like the list can go on and on and on. And literally, I just made a post about Amber Rose today. So also this being a woman who exploits the black community and loves to date black men like most white women do. One thing that has to be understood and articulated is white women typically fetish over the idea of having mixed children. It is one of their biggest and glorious opportunities because it gives them an opportunity, black women, to look the most like us. This is a psychological subconscious thing. When they date black men, yes, is there some form of emotional love that's expressed to the black man? Yes, it is. But the most profound thing about the relationship that they enjoy is the ability to create black children. So there has to be an understanding of that, like in all things, like even when we look at, us wearing straight hair, natural hair, or when we wear European hair, when we wear color contacts, these are all subconscious, unconscious things that come to the front and expressing how we want to look. But again, let's go to the panelists because I can go on all day about interracial dating. Either way, let's make a conscious decision. The panelist, the sister, she immediately came out of nowhere, y'all, like with so you mean to tell me that 43 million and hundreds of, million people can't express and articulate racism or understand or empathize? And if you paid attention, the queen didn't even have a ring on her finger. Like, if you paid attention, the queen is not married as far as what I saw on the video. So it's just kind of like the fact that she was the first one out the gate when the gun went off to express her disagreement with Dr. Umar's opinions. The fact that she wasn't married is just kind of like, queen, like, do you understand that he's kind of fighting for you? Like when he mentioned the 1 in 4 statistics, he's actually talking about you. Like, do you recognize, like when he says the last woman to get married is actually you sitting at the table? So nevertheless, and the brother that was on the end, I think he had like the pink bow tie, the youngest, the chocolate king. Brother needed some speech therapy classes. Like, where did they find these people? Like, I'm like, out of all, even if you were going to put someone on the stage and literally going to have them go against Dr. Johnson, you could have at least gotten somebody that, was just as eloquent. Like, you got the brother talking like this and the brother like, and I'm a Republican and I'm American. It's like, I'm like looking at this dude like, are you kidding me? Like, if anything, I want to check his credentials. Who is this man? I did like the king. To the furthest left. I know I'm being a little childish, y'all. I'm sorry, but I was so excited. I was so excited about this video. Like, I was in the library when Dr. Umar Johnson called the queen a coon. Oh, my life was made. My whole day was complete. Like, in the library. I'm sorry. In the library, y'all. I said, no, he didn't. Not on national TV. No, he did not call this woman a coon on national TV. Lord, he did not do this. I was like, brother came with the guns. Do you hear me? Brother, Dr. Umar Johnson was not playing with Roland Martin yesterday. I loved it. I know y'all loved it. We all loved it. It was just like in the movie Get Out when the partner was like, brother, you going up to a white person's house like you about to go up to these. It's like when Dr. Umar said that, we had that moment like, yes. Like, how are you arguing with someone who is literally fighting for you? Like, how are you arguing with someone who wants to create an opportunity for, if anything, 43 million African people to be just as educated as y'all three asses? Like, how could you argue with somebody who wants that? Nevertheless, the king on the left definitely said when you talk white but sleep black. I don't know the expression that he kind of gave, but nevertheless, I think that this is how racism, white supremacy works. This was essentially a large Mandingo fight, and it was multiple people. How racism, white supremacy works is a European won't be three people. The European isn't the type of person who's going to expose himself. He's not going to come directly to you and tell you, oh, yes, I'm racist. Oh, yeah, I work damn hard to do everything in my power at all times to keep you in the position that you are, even training people that look like you to sound like me. He's not going to tell you that. What he's going to do is he's going to work damn hard in the educational system to get black people to love different things like that. And when Dr. Umar Johnson said that the three panelists that you have aren't the every single day black Americans, so they don't even empathize. They couldn't even understand. Like, literally, rather than Roland Martin having a show, bringing Dr. Umar Johnson on to talk, and three other well-articulated black people to talk about Officer Yanez getting away with the murder of Philando Castile, we talk about interracial dating and how Europeans actually have done things that work well for the holistic upliftment of African people. Rather than talking about Philando Castile, rather than talking about Flint, Michigan still has no clean water, rather than talking about those important conversations like you literally have gentrification, rather than talking about Chicago, we talk about interracial dating. That's how the European works. I'm going to put them on a platform, give them some stuff to bicker about, and turn them against someone who's actually working on the best benefit of them. You throw the stone and you hide your hands. You're the person that's behind it the entire time. And meanwhile, we can't understand it. Meanwhile, we still go along with the show and we still think to ourselves like, all of these things are just because we don't work hard enough, and all of these things are just because we need to come together more, and those are things that we need to do. But all of these things are just because we don't work hard enough and we don't have the educational systems and different things like that. And what it comes down to is racism, white supremacy. Like, the day that we have a panelist of 4 African people, and they could be one Pan-Africanist, one Republican, one total international business individual, but the day we can have 4 African people on national TV speak openly about racism, white supremacy, that's how we know that we are accomplishing things. Because we can't really address racism, white supremacy, and Roland Martin knows this. See, Al Sharpton knows this. Everybody kind of knows this. And that's the reason why, Dr. Umar Johnson, in my opinion, gets the grief that he does from the public side, not from the Pan-Africanist or from the black or from the conscious community. He gets that side. I think a lot of it's from hate. I think a lot of us don't like Dr. Umar Johnson just because a multitude of reasons. One, jealousy. I think a lot of it's jealousy. I think, put it like this. If we were living in the 60s, we would still be talking about Martin Luther King. We would be the ones exposing the fact that he was having an affair with other women and he had a baby with a white woman. We would be those people right now. So no matter, we can glorify Malcolm X and we can glorify Martin Luther King because we're not the people living in those times. So it's always the people living in the times that critique the leader. It's those that are the descendants of the work of the leader that appreciate the leader more. So I think that that's what it comes down with to Dr. Umar Johnson. And my thing is when it comes down, and I'll end with this because I know everybody got to go to work. We got things to do, but I'll end with this. When it comes down to Dr. Umar Johnson, he's one of the leaders, or one of the people in our community that I would consider, in my opinion, someone who is doing damn good work. To think about how much money that I've wasted on shoes, perfume, Netflix, internet, entertainment, movie theaters, dates, wine, to think about how much money I've wasted and given to Academy and just all types of places. I don't think, even if $10, like let's just say I did give the brother $10 or $20 and I don't know where it's going. How much more have I given to a European and I don't know where it's going? And then to talk about somebody's character, if you start sweeping around my character, you're going to find some things you don't like. If I start sweeping around your character, I'm going to find some things that I don't like. And that's why I always say, if we don't want to cross any lines, let's not draw any. Let's not draw any. Okay, so the brother didn't slept with a woman. The brother didn't had a woman that he didn't slept with. But how many men didn't cheated on their wives? That's talking about the king. So the brother got some feelings that he feeling about feminism. But how many queens didn't cheated on their kings? How many times have we compromised black people? How many black businesses do we go to? How many complaints have we given? So when we really think about how we putting the brother's sin or the brother's issue on a chopping block, but when you start sweeping around our corners, we are the very people that are scolding him. Like, I'm not the whole, like I said in the last video, a part of this is, when you got fault, and when people start looking in your life, they're going to find some things that they don't like. You just have a little bit more appreciation for people's humanity. When you can understand that you have some humanity about yourself, and sometimes you want people to be gracious and patient in some areas, you can be gracious and patient in some areas also. It's just like, okay, I don't necessarily agree with everything you say. I don't necessarily agree with everything you do. But I tell you what, I am behind you 100% because you own that Pan-Africanist stuff. And you work towards the betterment of my community, in which I'm trying to do the very same thing. And that's what I think Pan-Africanist comes down to. When you are trying to work on the betterment of your community, you leave that shit at the door. You leave it at the door. So what if he slept with somebody? So what if, the brother, if polite, like wearing chains and shit like that? So what? Leave it at the door. Leave it at the door. When we come on a Pan-Africanist, how are we going to change the times of the next 500 years for the African race? The very first thing that you do is you marry someone that looks like you. The very first thing you do is you link with someone that looks like you, that shares your struggle, and y'all take on the world. You replicate yourself 3 to 4 times and have some warriors, and you train them to be the next Malcolm X, Garveys, Harriets, the Asantes, the nannies. That's what we do. That's our responsibility as Pan-Africanists. And no matter where we go, we're going to go to Colombia and we're going to meet some Pan-Africanists, and we're going to see, they might be some brothers or some sisters that's into the drug cartel. And we're going to be like, wait a minute. Y'all selling drugs out here? Or, I don't mean to be stereotypical. How am I being stereotypical? But, people might go somewhere and they might be engaged in some deals in life, and you might necessarily not agree with it. But the ultimate goal is you recognize how this is Pan-Africanism. We got work to do. So, brother, you got your kids and y'all do your stuff and you got your lifestyle, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I tell you, you probably don't agree with everything that I do. So let's address this racism, white supremacy in South Africa. Let's go save our brothers and sisters in South Africa. That's Pan-Africanism. So I think Dr. Umar Johnson did a phenomenal job yesterday on the Roland Martin show. I'm probably going to watch it again after this just to laugh one more time. And also, I think when we go on national TV, when we have the opportunities to go on national TV, we should do the damn same to watch the way we articulate ourselves, the way Dr. Umar Johnson did. All I could think, y'all, when I was watching The King was of how Malcolm X used to handle himself when they used to throw questions at him and they used to always try to get him to compromise, and he held his composure. All I could think was, well done, King. Well done, King. Like, and when it comes to that, if anything, when we, Facebook is public. This is a public video. This is someplace that everybody is able to see what we feel. If anything, in public, we support one another. When we get to the garage and when we start, having the conversations, that's when we might be able to share and articulate our disagreements. But on this platform, we need to support the king. He did phenomenal. Getting in Roland Martin in the panelists. I think he did phenomenal. anyways, follow the Blackest Truth. Neath night. Y'all have a great day. Peace and light.